Okay, so we're going to focus in on candles. Okay, and again, this can apply across the board. The good thing about this is that once this recording is done, I'm going to be putting this in the videos section. And I know I've said this for a couple weeks, so let me be the first one to say that I apologize. I'm going to get more organized and create those folders inside of there. They're called, what are they called? Table of contents. So I learned how to do it. I just haven't had a chance. Now, things like these live analysis, after like 3 or 4 days, at the end of every week on Friday, I'm going to delete the old live analysis. But trainings like this will stay in there. I'll probably turn it into like a course and put it in there. You can always just jump in there and watch it whenever you want, okay? But the live stuff, you don't really care what happens today on the earlier video next week. So in order to not put a lot of space and slow down the app, right, I'm going to delete the stuff that doesn't have long-term value like this. This is something we're going to teach, so this is long-term value, okay? So this is where part of your pennies that you're paying for membership gets you additional teaching stuff as well. So let's take a look at candles, okay? Candles tell the story. If you can figure out and be a little bit better at candles, it's also going to help you with zones as well. And then you add fibs on top of that, okay? Then you're going to be much better. Today, now this isn't going to be a 130-minute video. It's going to fix everything. What I want to focus on today are huge bullish and bearish candles. And what does that tell you? And where do the charts usually come back to in those areas? Okay, so I'm going to do one on GA, and then I'm going to do one on gold as well. Okay, so I kind of want to start. Let's kind of start at this bottom here. Okay, let's kind of start at this bottom here. So a couple things that you want to look at. When I say bottom, I actually meant this top here. Let's kind of work on this area right here. Okay, so when you're looking at candles, and let's go ahead and do this replay mode right here. Replay, and let's kind of go here. Okay. And this is what I love about TradingView, is that you can use these replay issues, okay? So when you start seeing larger than normal candles, okay, these are your typical candles, okay? Those are your typical price action candles. Remember that inside, and I'm going to kind of go basic here for a little bit, and I'm going to be doing a whole series on this, so don't worry if today seems like a lot of information, okay? I'm going to be breaking this down a little bit further. So remember that on this 8-hour chart, and this is the reason why I circled it, okay? I'm on the 8-hour chart. Remember that an 8-hour candle, okay, one complete candle is a combination of other candles on a smaller time frame, okay? So let me go over and look at this real quick, okay? Understand a couple things. We've talked about this, but again, that when you see a wick, that during this 8-hour candle, which was Sunday, December 3rd, price came down as low as 1.8966. Price went as high as 19056. So in this 8-hour candle, right, this car, this plane, this train traveled as far down to this area and as far up to this area. So that is the wick. Okay, that's the top of the wick, and that's the bottom of the wick. The open and the close of a candle, okay, ended up happening here. So you can see here that when this red candle came down and closed right here, at the end of this 8-hour candle, it closed right there. That's where the candle started, okay? That's where this candle ends. That's where the green candle began. Now, during its journey, okay, it traveled down, and then it traveled up, and it ended up closing here. So that is the open and the close of the candle. So this candle closed right there, okay? And then what did it do to this candle? Well, that candle then ended up opening here, okay? And sorry, I'm not an artist. It ended up opening there, okay? And then it traveled a little down to that wick. It traveled way up here, but it ended up coming all the way down to this level. So it was a very, very tight open and close candle. As you can see there, right? There's not a lot of body in that candle, Okay, so let's consider the candles like bodies. Okay, so not a lot of body on that candle. This candle, obviously a healthier body. This candle, a huge healthier body. So understand that wicks is the time that during that candle price has traveled. Now, on a 4-hour, you're going to see more candles, right? If you notice here on the 8-hour, I only really have, let's focus in on these 3 green candles. I really only have 3 candles circled. But if we go to the 4-hour, there are going to be more candles because that's the traveling that's happening in between the 8-hour candle. And if we drop to the 1-hour, you're going to see for every 8-hour candle, there's going to be one of these little candles, which is a 1-hour, happening up and down, right? So 8-hour candle is basically 8 1-hour candles. And as you go down, obviously it's going to get wider and wider because now you're dealing with 15-minute candles. So understand that as you're looking at the bigger time frame, right, the smaller candles are happening inside of there. And that's why we analyze on the big time frame, but then we want to drop down because it's much easier to see what the candles are doing on a smaller time frame. So now going back to the 8-hour example, okay, this is where you begin to look at candles. And so all of a sudden we see this very big, unusual candle, right? Kind of take off from this area there. So this here, when you see a big candle, like a little bit, not like the other candles, right? We tend to call those liquidity candles, meaning that there's been a lot of money introduced in a big candle like this to move price outside of a normal. There's a big liquidity candle happening here. Okay. And when you just, kind of put this up at a kind of a decent measure, right, you can see normal candles, right? Even normal candles. And then you can see these strong candles. When you see a strong candle like that, that's a lot of liquidity being pushed. Okay. So that is considered a liquidity candle. Okay. A liquidity candle. So you see a strong push happening. Now, the interesting thing about these liquidity candles, and they're not, perfect, but if I kind of bring this up to an even scale, right? You look at these liquidity candles, just take a look at where you see a lot of these liquidity zones happening kind of near the exact same areas, right? Price loves to push in big areas around the same place. Now, all that means is around that area, there tends to be big movements, and that can be in both directions. Okay, it's not in one particular direction. So when you start looking at these liquidity candles, okay, you want to start looking at where the big movements are happening, because when price comes back into that area, you're usually going to see another movement of big magnitude, okay, big magnitude movements in that area, right? So just in here, right, if we just kind of look at this box, right, we can see that we've had big, when we talk about big movements, more than just, a few pips, right? We're talking 94 pip move to the bottom. From the bottom here, obviously, about another 90 pip move. Obviously, another 86 pip move. So you're seeing big movements in the market that tend to happen around that time. If we just extend this out across, you're going to be able to see big movements, and you have to include the wick here because price actually moved that far down. You begin to see big movements happening in the area. Okay, so those are called liquidity candles when you see those big movements happening. Now, when you see those big movements happening, okay, that is what we begin to see when price, and again, I'm sitting on an 8-hour candle. When price is moving down, right, this is why it's so important that we begin to look for support and resistance, and that'll be for another video. But we start looking for, okay, they are going to eventually come up to grab liquidity in this candle. Okay, so if we just focus in on this candle, right, this is what I like to do. I like to take the candle by itself. Let me make this bigger so you can see it at home. right? And then I actually will just use a fib retracement on the actual candle from top to bottom. Okay, why do I do that? Because what does that do? That lets me know where the zones are. And this is the way I've learned through the years to see how much liquidity they come to get. So this is 50% of this candle. So if you need me to do that again, what I do is I actually take a fib level, okay, and I just go from wick of the top of the candle to wick of the bottom of the candle. And then I can kind of begin to look, okay, where is that 50 percentile of the candle? Well, that's about halfway of the candle. Here is 60% of the candle. Obviously, if they come all the way up here, they take the full candle because the wicks wouldn't be included on the liquidity, just the body of the candle. So it gives you a pretty good idea about that liquidity zone. How far up are they coming to grab that liquidity, right? So let's take this example here, right? Let's take this teacup, which is a perfect teacup, by the way, example right here. And we'll do another training on teacups, because if you can start spotting some teacups, you'll find some entries as well. They came up here and they basically grabbed, these greedy folks of the bank institution, they grabbed their entire money back. So this candle and this movement down of this quick push down was a lot of money introduced to sell. So the big institutions moved trillions of dollars on a sell in this motion. Then what they did is they turned price back around, and in this institutional candle, they introduced all the way down here, they introduced more trillions of dollars on a buy. So as they're working their buy and they're making money here, what are they doing on the sells, right? Now the sells that was down 30 million, right? When they get in here, they'll take a short loss because they're making money on the way up, but they went and grabbed the majority of this liquidity that had started right in here in this candle, okay? So they're making money down, they're making money up, they're break even. All the institutions do is that they hedge, right? They'll make 50 million and then they'll make 40 million. They'll close that 10 million loss position because they're going to make it up in where they're going to move the market next, right? So these liquidity candles are important to see where they're going to want to come back to grab their money. In this case, they came all the way back up to grab the money. Now, they eventually grab all their money, but when we look for short-term moves, right, we look for, okay, what are the bankers doing? They're not going to leave liquidity open, for weeks and weeks on end. They're going to come back and grab this liquidity. So when you look at this area right in here, this was a big institutional push candle. And again, when you start looking at candles, that are over 100 pips from top to bottom, right? Those are big movements. That one candle traveled 195 pips in the market within an 8-hour span. So that's why I like going to the 8-hour and saying, okay, all right, you little greedy folks, you want to come back and you're going to grab some money, right? This candle here kind of confirmed now that they're coming back, right? That 1 8-hour push down, which on the 4-hour would look like here, that tells me you guys are going to see the big push on the 4-hour, and that's why you have to go sometimes from candle to candle, right? There's the push on the 4-hour. That 4-hour candle just ate, if you're looking at old Pac-Man games, just ate those two green candles. That means price is turning, they're coming back. They're coming back for liquidity zones. So now on the 8-hour chart, we can come in and we can do, and again, this video is not about fibs, but I just want you to get into the mindset of how to trade candles. Now we come in here and where are we waiting, right? Where are the Professor Trade Club members waiting? We're waiting down in these lower areas so they can grab their money and we just want ours, right? Banks, take your trillions, right? Give me my $5. That's all I'm asking for. I just want $5, right? Give me my $5, right? So we wait there. So by understanding these liquidity zones, we begin to say, okay, where are you coming to go? Then we go to the next 8-hour candle. We see another big push, right? Another big push on the 8 hours of 129 pips. So that exceeded the 100 pip rule. If the candle moves more than 100 pips, for the most part, they are going to come back. So now we're going to move this arrow here. And we're going to move this arrow here. And then we are going to drop down to the 4 hour, and we're going to I want you to see this over and over again. You're going to see that there was the 4 hour candle that ate that smaller green candle, right? It came down here to eat that candle. And you can see that on the 4 hour, we even went back up again, but then we eventually came down on the 8 hour. So on the 8 hour, where I like to mostly draw those big level fibs, we come back and we say, okay, now on this 8 hour liquidity candle, right? We just did this one. We go back and we say, okay, now you're going to want to come back and grab some of your money. Now that was the high point there. And we move this up here. And if we look here, where did this wick come to? It came right back into that. There's the wick right there if you can't see it. Okay, let me make it a little bit bigger so you can see the wick. There's the wick right here, right? They came back down in there. We're not worried about what's happening here because we're not chasing buys there. We're waiting for it to come down into our 61 or a little bit lower. Sometimes we catch it, sometimes we don't. But this is the way you learn. You start seeing what is the most common. And this is a Forex pair. This is a GA, but this works the same. And I'll do one more example on a commodity, right? So you start looking for those types of, you start looking for those big type of candles, right? To get us the immediate return on our investment, right? If we look at this candle here, right, and we measure this candle from wick to wick, that candle traveled 145 pips. So without doing all the other brouhaha, right, we go from the wick here, we let it come to its further point, right, and we would see where that reversal would happen here on this candle on a smaller time frame, right, and where did it come to before it rejected? Right into that same area that we're always talking about, right? So if we look at this on a 4 hour level, there's the 4 hour, right? Once that 4 hour candle right here, this candle, which was perfectly put on this arrow, once this 4 hour candle eats the last red candle that happened to happen, you know that push was going, this candle was small. You see the difference between candle one and this candle means nothing because this candle can close here and then go all the way back down. This candle right here is the winner because this candle has now nullified this candle right here. It ate it, right? It's like the old Pac-Man game, right? Oh my God. Right, eating those circles, right? Matter of fact, I got a Pac-Man game right over here to my side here. We'll play one time live so you can see I'm like the master at Galaga. So what happens? This one ate that candle, right? So the moment it eats that candle, okay, now we're waiting to see if we're going to get that rejection, and we put our fib levels and we get what we need, right? Not home runs, we get what we need. That's all we need, right, for what we're doing. That's all you need for what you're doing, right? So you can come in here with a low risk, high reward, because your exit would be right here, right? And you can get what you need. That wick right there is 21 pips. We haven't even gotten down to the bottom. We haven't even followed this red candle down. 112 pips back in the opposite direction. So when you start looking at these things a little bit more and start saying, okay, where is a red candle, in this case, right, that traveled more than 100 pips? Okay, that one was only 85. So well, you can discard that one, even though that one ended up working pretty much, because if we look at the reversal point, right, it came pretty close, but you can see it didn't go deeper, right? So we're looking for candles that are moving more than 100 pips. We're looking for candles that are moving more than 100 pips. Okay, 109, that's good enough for government work, right? And then we're drawing a fib to say, okay, you moved so fast in such a small period of time, right? That you got to come back to grab. You got to come back to grab some money, my man. You got to come back because you guys are greedy, right? You guys are greedy. So will it always be perfect on the 61? No. Will we miss some entries? Yes. But you can begin now to say, okay, I begin to see the market a little bit better. I want to look for these big pushes to give me an opportunity to then look at support. And this is where the whole picture comes in. Now we're looking at, is it a support level, right? Is this area maybe coming into a, let me move this, right? Is this area maybe coming into a fib level, or did it get rejected by a 50-day moving average? Is it on a support level, right? I haven't done support and resistance for this pair, so I would just be blindly looking at it, right? That's how you begin to look at what's going on, right? So that's one thing. We're going to be expanding on this as well, but I wanted to show you that on these time frames, you begin to get where these greedy folks begin to look at these big pushes in the market, right? That one was only 97, but when you see the big hundreds, right, this one probably came pretty damn close, right to the 88. Okay, remember this. If you remember anything else from this session, if it goes over 100, it changes the direction. It changes the direction. That's why we always say the 100 closure above the 100 really has to be your stop loss in these type of areas, because if it closes, keyword closes, right? So this is why you have to look when you're going at these entries. But here it came back up to the 88.6, right? Gave us that rejection that we needed. We got our pips going down. That's all we need. And this is why I will continue to say this till I'm blue in the face. And maybe some of you in a few months are not here because you go off and do your own thing. If you follow these type of rules, I can guarantee you're going to be consistent, less stressful. Your account's going to grow over time. And you're going to be here a year later, and we're going to be celebrating you over and over and over, because the market is not your friend. The market likes quick reversals. And, if you're not paying attention, you will get eaten up alive, right? You will get eaten up alive. So you've got to be able to look at these things and start painting a picture, right? You got to be able to start painting a picture about what's going on. And if you just look at this one chart right here, what time is it? If you just kind of look at this one chart right in here, okay, you get, these are the things that I want you to look, but I want you to look at this on a higher time frame, right? 4 hour or higher, right? When you start seeing, I mean, you could almost be a terrible trader, but if you can see that wicks, folks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, let's just call these 7. Okay, price never closed. You can only go sell Girl Scout cookies so many times at people's doors, and if they don't open after so many knocks, they are going to leave. I hope you leave, right? This is where you can begin to look at this and say, man, this already is, because this on a 1 hour rejected so many times, never closed in that area. So these are the breaks and the retests. So if you want examples of break and retest, see, everything comes together. Once you can get a couple of these things down, things really come together, right? Things really come together. Now you've gotten prior rejection, right? Man, this has really been rejecting. There's your big candle. There's your big boy, right? There's your big boy, okay? Pac-Man just came in, okay? And this candle right here just did this to this candle. Here we go again. Just ate that red candle. This is your sign, right? This is the clue right here. Okay, this is the money candle. Boom, money candle. Where are we going? Where are we going? Money candle, money candle, money candle. Let it reverse, because guess what? We're waiting in areas of previous rejection. We're waiting in our highly anticipated fib levels. We're waiting there like sharks in this area, right? What happens is that most people see this candle, and what do they do here? Oh my God, this is it. I'm retiring. I'm buying the crap out of this right here. They go back to their room. They get into the fetal position. They suck their thumb, and they're wondering, what the hell just happened? Dude, it was telling you to wait. It needs to come back to grab some liquidity off that candle. Wait for the retracement back into the zone one more time. That's how you really know an area. It's got to come back again, a big turnaround back in the area. And if you just put a square, how many trades were here that were successful in this one box, right? Price never closed. That's the key word. It never closed. So whether you're looking at a 1 hour or you're looking at where is this stupid thing? Or you're looking at a 4 hour. Okay. I think I've lost it. There it is. Or you're looking at a 4 hour. Okay. There's all the rejection. I mean, how many times does this thing have to wick for you just to say, yeah, you know what, yo, bro, like you ain't coming in this house, right? Oh my God. And then you're sitting there saying, oh my God, I remember Armando saying, Pac-Man just ate the crap out of these here's the money candle. Oh my God, Armando, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put a fib on this thing and I'm going to wait. Oh my God. Even if I get in a little bit early, maybe I don't take it. Maybe I do take it. I give myself a better chance. You start looking at these things over and over and over. But here is the honest truth, right? Oh my God, I see my camera was acting up. Here is the honest truth. All right, I'm going to back up. Here is the honest truth. Most of you spend no time doing any of this stuff on your own. That's just the truth. Most of you are awake all day waiting for that trade alert to go off, right? And so I get it. But my goal is to be able to help you see things that you normally did not see. That really is my goal. Because at some point, I want some of you to take over and I can say, hey, you today from 12 to 2, you teach a lesson, right? You put something together. You show the charts, right? So that ultimately is the goal, is that you can gain some type of knowledge, right? If you're brand new, you know my story. Failure for 3.5 years. When I say failure, right, I just didn't get to my goal where I wanted to get, right? It took me a good community, good mentors, believe it or not, the 20 pip challenge to really get me focused on small wins adds up at the end of the day, okay? But most of you on the weekends, whether you're out partying, hey, you're with your family, you're drinking, or you're doing whatever you're doing, you spend no time saying, let me go back into my favorite pair and let me just see how did it move? You've got to do a little bit of that. I'm gonna hold your hand and I'm gonna guide you, motivate you, inspire you. I'm gonna get you there faster. But what I want you to do is take 30 minutes, take 15 minutes. If this really means something to you, take 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a week to start, and just look at some of the areas that's happening. And if you just find those heavy wicks in those areas and you draw a rectangle across it, see how many times it comes back. See if next week it comes back to that area, right? So this thing is driving me nuts. That is kind of what we're talking about when it comes to looking at wicks, right? Looking at candles, looking at big liquidity candles that are happening there, right? When you look at this thing, oh, it's más cheeky, más cheeky. Okay, so crude oil. Boom, boom. Crude oil. This is the 1 hour chart, right? Buy limit was down in this area, right? All I did was look at the wick and say, hey, you've come here before. If you come back here again, it is worth looking at it from a bigger time frame scale, right? From a bigger time, because I knew, if you remember the fib levels, which I don't have it anymore, but I remember when we did the fib levels, the 100 was down here. If I'm not mistaken, right? Oops. The 100 was down here. So if we were drawing a fib level at that particular time, okay, and I don't know if I used the 8 hour or the 4 hour, but let me draw a quick fib level. And then we look at candles. Oh my God, this is happening too. I can't believe this is happening. Yeah, I don't remember if I did it on the 8 or the 4 hour, but here's the 100 down all the way down to this level. But look at what's happening right now. So I'm talking about candles today, right? This was yesterday news, right? 200 pips. Are they coming back to get their money? You damn right they are. You're damn right they are. They're coming back to get their money. These greedy folks want their money. They don't want to hold too long. Not with a move like that, right? They're coming to get their money, right? They're coming to get their money. And so you look at these big moves and then you can say, okay, well, that's why if you're going to do if you look at a fib on this candle alone, right? Where is 50% of their candle? Well, that's kind of the area that I marked up. They're probably that would be the next area where you would look at. It's a zone where they're going to come up and grab liquidity on that candle. They're only about 60 to 70 cents away from doing that, right? From doing that. Now, since we're here real quick, right? I'll say this over and over and over. What did price do, right? I caught 20. I think some people caught this 20, but price did, what did it do? Price closed above. We just talked about this. We just talked about this on the live analysis. Price closed. Price closed. What did price do? Price came back to retest the area, and then price took off again. So you would be up another 30 pips right now. Price closed again. So again, it's just looking at that over and over and over. There was your closure, but the closure happened on a 5-minute, right? Did it happen on a 15-minute? No, very close, but it didn't happen on a 15-minute. Okay, happened on a 5-minute. So it's one of these things of just moving from time frame to time frame, especially if you're sitting at your computer, that you can begin to look at candles and say, okay, where was that big move, right? Where was the big move happening? And you've got to look at this on a bigger time frame. You can't do this on a 5 or 10-minute. You've got to do this on the bigger time frames to take a look at those candles and say, okay, there was a huge push. Where may I go, right? Where might I go? And it begins to develop a game plan for you to be successful, okay? And if you look at, where's my measuring stick? If you look at this big candle, right, from one top to another, it traveled 171 points, right? So that technically would qualify, right? So if you look at this and then you do a fib retracement, right? In this case, price only came to the 50. They didn't go as far down as we wanted, but there's always going to be a retracement. There is always going to be a retracement. This candle traveled 105. This candle. There is going to be a retracement on the candles because they are going to grab their money. Where did this come into? Right into our sweet spot, right between the 61 and the 88. What did it do then? It reversed, right? If it wanted to change directions, it would have closed below the 100 and then it would have continued down. But that is the key. That is the key. A closure above or, depending on where the fib is, right, of the 100 level, that tells you if they fail to close below the 100, they're going to take price higher. For the most part, they're going to take price higher, right? I wish I can tell you this was 100%, but this is damn 80+%. 100% guaranteed that it's 80+%. Okay, so that's what you have to look for, right? Those are the big movements that you've got to look for. So when you tie it into zones as well, right? That's all we did here. That's all I did here was look at a previous zone. They had come back. They didn't grab all the liquidity. Here they had come back to grab some liquidity. They just came right back to the exact same zone. So what that tells me is if you look at 200 pips or you look at, I don't know how much this one was. They'll be coming back for this one eventually. 138, right? This one to them right now means a lot more. Okay, bringing price as back up means a lot more to them. But they'll eventually come back and they'll grab liquidity in some of these other areas. Now, they can stay open for a while and we trade what we see, not what we think, but they eventually come back and grab their liquidity zones. Okay? All right. Questions. Let's see. All right, cool. Yeah, I don't think anybody's quantified what a big candle. Everybody's gonna have their own definition, Ed. I like 100 pips or more. That's a big candle for me. It works for me. So that's what I look at it. Turn the wicks down there. Up we go. Wicks. Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah. I'm an educator at heart, man. I'm an educator at heart. For those of you that don't know my story, again, coming from law enforcement, I spent over 20 years as well teaching in the academy. I went to school. Samira, I think, is she's up there. She's got her PhD, and I don't know this science stuff. So she is smarter. Trust me, smarter than me. But I went back to school. I did my bachelor's, my master's. I did my doctorate work in leadership. I've been teaching at the academy. I've been teaching online for over 20 years now. Leadership courses. I still teach for different private entities that contract me out to teach. So I love teaching. I always told myself if I had not gotten into law enforcement, I was going to be a teacher. And at the time, my sister was dating a law enforcement officer. So that kind of moved me into that direction. But I'm so blessed that I got to do all of that in my career. And so now I just want to be able to teach and give back, continue learning. I'm always a learner first. I love to learn first. But when I learn something, I don't hoard it and I don't keep it to myself. I rather share it so that you can have the information and you can decide what to do with it. That I think is the biggest injustice that happens anywhere. that people learn information and don't share it. When you do that, you're being greedy. So, no, you are smarter. So again, you've got to be able to share and give back information, right? It's like, sharing. If and this may sound a little personal, but it's the way that somebody helped me at the beginning, right? Someone introduced trading to me, and it was my son. Somebody introduced my son to trading, and what he's done in crypto and 7 figures and all that, travel the world, is crazy. But so this is why I'm saying, if you know of people personally, or you don't know of people and you come across people, right, you can start a conversation, because there's people that have no idea that trading exists. I plan to do a video just on this, right? Like, you don't need $50,000 to trade. You need $50 in an international account and start making $1 or $2 a day. So if you know that what we're doing in here and this is working for you and you enjoy this, you not sharing it with people who are struggling, you are doing them a disservice, because maybe you saw this and you landed here, but a lot of people have landed here because somebody else has told them about it. So this is what I'm saying. This is how you build community with people, because there's people that are living paycheck to paycheck. And that is one of my pet peeves. Let's give people at least the opportunity to know about it, to learn it. And then if they decide to not do it, it's up to them. So that is 100% on you, because there's way too many people struggling today that have no idea that in a community like this, on just grabbing 10, 20 pips to start, right, making a couple bucks a day, that 2 to 4 years out could be life-changing for them and their kids and their family. But they don't know about it. You don't know how many people I come across that don't even know what Forex is. Oh, what is Forex? I've heard about it. People are clueless. It doesn't matter if you're in the United States, people are clueless. So it is your responsibility to take the information that you see here and share it with people. At least you can say, hey, man, I told you, right? Ed, as a matter of fact, just reached out to me and says, man, I've shared this with a couple friends. They're still waiting, right? Most people I know are procrastinators and they got to see things 10,000 times. Oh, show me your profits, or show me this stuff, show me this. Listen, at the end of the day, give people the opportunity. Give people the opportunity to be able to come here so they don't live paycheck to paycheck. And that paycheck to paycheck may take 6 months to turn around. It may take a year to turn around, right? My sisters, who are very successful real estate agents, came to me when the markets were, the housing markets were crashing, and they had no contracts for over 3 or 4 months. They were saying, hey, man, I got to learn this. Like, I want to learn this, right? And my one sister, her goal was pay off her car payment, right? She did that and then some, waking up London session to trade. She liked to get up in the morning. I said, okay, go for it. This was probably like 6-7 years back. And she still does it today. So, both of my sisters do it. You've got to understand that this is a vehicle. It's not the only vehicle. Your jobs are a vehicle. Your investments is a vehicle. Trading is a vehicle. Whatever else you do, your own personal business is a vehicle, right? You've got to be able to use these vehicles, but share this information with other people, strangers. That's why I love, when I go on a cruise ship, when I go out in public and people ask, I get into these conversations, and I just say, hey, what does your investment portfolio look like? What are you talking about? Most people don't even have a retirement account. Most people don't even have $1,000 in a savings account, right? So I just whip out a chart, I show them here, and get people interested to at least learn it. At least I know, right, that, hey, man, I've shared the information with you. At this point, it's on you, right? So, absolutely, right? If you can just make $100 a day, at some point you will get there, right? That is life-changing. You know what? $20 a day is life-changing. When you're living paycheck to paycheck and you can make $20 a day extra, where you're not going to get it at your raise at work, that's life-changing. You don't even need $100, right? In some other countries, $20 US is huge money, right? That's why I love working with international people. Man, they're hungry. They're hungry. On my last cruise, one of my stops was in Roatan, Honduras. I saw the guys busting their butt on the beach, working for $4 a day. I gave each of them $50. I had them open up a Forex account, and for the next 2 days on the beach, I traded with them. They left there with over $100 in their account by the time I left Roatan, Honduras, after a few days, right? That is life-changing. That is how you teach people. So, and they're still doing it, right? They're still doing it. And I told them, listen, they're already doing it. They're doing good stuff. I don't want you to pay a membership. I want you to get up on your, they're still doing it, right? That is what you do. That is what you do. You help people along the way. You put 25 bucks in somebody's trading account and say, here, I'm going to put your 25 bucks in your account. I'm going to put 50 bucks in your account. You're going to pay for the subscription, which is going to pay for itself. And you're going to get in here in our community and we're going to teach you. We're going to help you grab your 20 pips a day doing this kind of stuff. That's how you can change lives. That's how you can leave legacy. And that's how there are two kinds of people in this world. And listen to me closely, and I'm going to be closing with this, right? There are two kinds of people in this room. There are people who light up the room when they walk in, and there are people who light up the room when they walk out. Which one is you? Which one is you, right? So be that person that when you leave the room, you left them better than you found them. They're like, wow, like she just dropped some massive value on me. He just told me something that I didn't know, right? That I didn't know. My kids say this all the time. Dad, every time you go somewhere, you start talking to people. Yeah, I start talking to people. I want to find out about who they are. I care about people as a general human being. And then I want to ask them where they are. Where are they financially, right? I don't need to get into personal details. I say, have you ever heard of trading, right? Have you ever heard of Forex? Have you ever heard of futures? Do you even know trading exists? Those are the kind of conversations that changes lives and people. So you don't need to be making a lot of money in this thing. You just got to be consistent. I care less about how much money you're making. And that's why I tell people, do not share charts as far as how much money you make or stuff like that. You know, every once in a while, if you want to, flex and throw it on there. Absolutely. Right? Celebrate your small wins. But as a community, we focus in on daily consistent growth. That's what's going to get you to the finish line. That's what's going to get you to do the things that you want to do for you and your family, not for you. Nothing I do here is for me. Everything I do here is for my family. There is nothing I do for me. I don't go out. My wife said, man, you never buy. I don't need new clothes. I do it for the family. I'd rather travel and give my family experiences than buy a nice shirt, than buy a watch. They buy those things. I don't need those things. Those things are materialistic things. I can really give a less about that. If you go into my closet right now, you probably still think I'm stuck in the 1980s. Like I'm old school. I'm wearing jerseys all the time. I'm wearing sports stuff all the time. I go out. You're not going to see you're going to see my iWatch. You're not going to see fancy watches. I remember when my son bought his first Rolex. He goes, "You're going to get one?" I go, "No, Mike. You're 20-something years old. That's your flex for now." I'm not into that kind of stuff. I'm not into that kind of stuff. He bought his Rolex. Hey, good for him. He earned it. He earned it. Right? That's not my cup of tea. I'd rather put that in a cruise and go travel for 2 weeks. Right? That's just me. It's a different mentality, right? But I'm also hip enough to understand that the 20-year-olds today think differently than when I grew up. That's why 20-year-olds today don't hold jobs a long time because they get bored. If their needs are not met, and it was funny, I was hearing this kind of in the academy when they would come in to do interviews for people, and they would ask them the question. Here's a person looking to get hired by a police department, and they would ask them, are you willing to work weekends? And I can't tell you how many times these young recruits would say no in an interview. I'm like, are you stupid? Don't you want to get hired? You've got to work weekends, right? But everybody today just they want the perfect schedule. They want the perfect salary. They want the perfect car. What they don't see is that when you look at your neighbors, and if they're doing a legal business, keyword there's legal business, and they're successful, instead of being envious about their success, why don't you go ask them, hey, what did you do to get here? Like what tell me the grind. Tell me what was happening behind the scenes to get here, right? That's the true story about people, right? That's the true story about people, not the success that you see, right? It took 3.5 years of failure to get me to see the charts that I finally get to see without technicals and 50,000 charts. If you saw my chart back in 2016, 2017, 2018, right? It looked like a flight zone. I had more indicators and I didn't know which indicator was what indicator, right? Even if I tried to color code the indicator, I had an indicator over an indicator because I thought that was the one. And finally, when I got with the right community, with the right mentor who says, if you just learn price action, you don't need anything. If you just learn zones, you don't need anything. So my point in this, and I went a lot longer, and I've got to go now because I've got a session in 14 minutes, and I'm going to take a break, but I want to give you massive value. My camera was acting up, but I know you can hear me, is that You've got to be hungry for what you do, right? And you'll see changes, but changes takes time, right? Changes take time. Get that over your head, right? So I love goal setting, but I don't like when people set 30-day goals for trading or 60-day goals for setting, right? That could be a very short term. Your goal should be is where will you be in 2026? Where will you be in 2027? Where will you be in 2028, right? That is really what goals come about to, especially if you just started this journey a couple of years ago, right? Your first 3 to 4 years is a huge learning curve, right? It's a huge learning curve. Listen, I'll be honest, tell you, if by year 5, right, you just don't get it, maybe then it's not for you. But if you don't give it 5 years, or maybe you came from a bad space, a bad mentorship, whatever the case may be, then you got to reset the clock. You got to reset the clock. Okay. This is why I'm so emphatic on 20 and out, 20 and out, 20 and out. You do that a couple times a day, your life and your finances will change drastically, but you've got to give it time. Okay. You've got to give it time. So help those individuals. We're going to be doing another session on candles coming up. I've got 2 psychology sessions, one in March, one in April. I've got a couple of other sessions on greed. That's going to be coming up as well. I'm going to be giving you dates so I'm going to put this out real quick before I go, because when I post it, and I'm going to give you a heads up, by the way, in a post, probably 24-hour notice. Okay. When I post the, what was I going to call it? When I post the kind of the mindset workshop that we're going to do, okay, kind of a mastermind that we're going to talk about a whole bunch, real detail. That's going to be in the summertime. I'm only going to take 20 people because it's going to be on Zoom, one-on-one. We're going to dive deep into that. I'll probably be putting out a poll in the next week or so to find out if you rather do one full 8-hour day, or do you want to do, 4 2-hour days or 8 1-hour days. But I'm only going to take 20 at a time. And if I got to repeat this a couple times, we will repeat it. But we're going to go deep into mental game. We're going to go deep into chart analysis. I want you to get into my headspace so that you can maybe replicate what I do. So then you at some point can teach somebody else, right? My goal is to be able to help you see things a little bit differently so then you can impact another life. Okay. To your question on the 5-minute chart, who was that? Somebody earlier. Somebody said that earlier about the 5. So the 5-minute, again, the 5-minute isn't always perfect, but you want to begin to look for the 5-minute chart for the retest, and then look at the 5 and 15. But the 5 can give you that. Now, what I like to look for is, when possible, the 1-hour chart closes above. Okay, the 1-hour chart closes above, and then you get to retest. So this is an active 1-hour candle. Okay. This candle right here, in this case, this candle is still active. So sometimes what's going to happen is that during that 1-hour candle, obviously there's going to be 20 5-minute candles. Well, there was the reset, the retest. But again, this could have been, this is where if you're scalping, you're getting in here, your stop loss should be really below the low. And because if it breaks through, it's going to go back down to this next level, right? So, scalping strategies and things of that nature, we'll talk more about. So yeah, you ideally want this, but this little 5-minute right here that closed above was your confirmation. Unfortunately, it happened in the middle of this 1-hour candle. So this could have been a little bit of a conversation of a way to look at it. Is it 100% reliable? Absolutely not, because it's a 5-minute candle, right? But it's a good risk to reward based on that candle. Okay. All right. Awesome. I hope you got some value on today's session. This will go into the video section. It'll go into its own tab with its own label. I know we went into a little bit into, mindset, because if you know me, I always over deliver. So you are going to get that kind of stuff to be able to help you out. So all of you are welcome. Switch to the April expiry and futures 30 cents difference in price value. HR, yeah. So you've got the price action should be the same. Okay, so what I do plan to do is I'll do my best to use the current futures chart on TradingView. That way, hopefully, it's exactly, because I know a lot of people here trading futures. It'll be pretty close to that as well. Okay, this one aligns with my broker, but I'll go ahead and switch, that chart as well. So you could, so it could be closer. But the price action should be pretty comparable. Let me know if it's not, but I'll make it a point. I'm writing this down to go over to the newest TradingView futures chart to try to be as comparable with most people as possible. Okay. Okay. So a chart's a bit tricky. Yeah. And again, I don't know when. That was the one thing about futures. You know, you've got to understand. When I first started futures, I didn't even know about contract expirations until I had some trades closed on me, and they had Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade. They emailed me. I never saw it. Next thing I know, they went to a new contract, and it was like $1 higher than where I said, "What the hell just happened here?" They had closed me out. It was a mess. I had to like set a reminder, go to the calendar. So again, that's why if you're on the future side, you've got to stay on top of those contract expirations because price changes from one contract to another. It's where they settle price. Trust me, I was on the phone with Thinkorswim. I had a steep learning curve because I didn't learn it. I just went in heads in, and I should have learned it before. You know, but obviously after a few closures and mistakes, I realized, okay, this isn't just like one chart that goes on forever. This is different. This is futures. So if you're going to go into futures, make sure that you understand that. Maybe I'm able to tell which futures ticker and contract. Yeah, I can do that. You'll see it on the chart, but I'll look at that. All right, I need a quick break because now I've got 7 minutes to get some water, and then I got to jump on a coaching session at 11 o'clock. All right, we'll see you all soon. Oil pretty much went to almost 78, probably coming back now. It could be doing that retest again. So keep a look at it, but hopefully by now you're done trading for the day. All right, see you soon. I'll post this when it's done in the video section, and I'll start creating tabs probably over the weekend. All right, see you soon.